friends! It's Miss Kayla from the Fredricksen Library. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a marker watercolor drawing. First, you will need some supplies. You'll need a cup of water, a paintbrush that's pretty small, something to put your paper on, like cardboard or a towel would work as well. I have markers and paper. You can choose to make whatever you want, but my favorite thing to draw is flowers, so I am going to show you how to do a flower. I like to start in the center of the flower first. And for this technique, you need to have some lines with the marker, but also some white spaces because we're going to take water. Just a little bit. If you use too much, it spreads out all over your paper. So a little bit of water and pull some of the color from the edges of your lines into the center. This technique works with a lot of different types of markers, which is really cool because I have a huge collection of markers and they're not all the same kind. So I'm just making some petals after I do the center of my flower. And I'm going to show you different ways to do the petals. My first row of petals, I'm going to just color a little bit at the end so that my flower has darker tips on the petal. Now I'm going to pull some water in towards the center of the flower. Just be careful you don't touch the middle because it's so light it will add the color into the middle of the flower too. I did some samples before I started and some of my markers showed up a little bit better than others. You can see my purple color a lot better than you can see my orange color. I do drawings like this very often, and I learned that if I connect my next petal in the open space, it makes my flower look really nice. Sometimes it's hard to reach. Some of the petals are a little bit wider and some are a little skinnier, but that's okay because in nature, flowers don't all look the same, and this just makes it look like it really grew in nature. For this one, I didn't add any color at the tips of the petals, so I'm just going to use the color and pull in some of it. This row of petals is just going to look a lot lighter than my first one. I'm using enough water that it's going the whole way around my row of petals, but if you're not using that much water, you might need to dip again. Try not to dip too much because I had a lot and I got water spots on my paper, but that's okay. All right. I'm going to do the same thing for my next row of flowers, making a petal connecting the two in the row before. And I like to change the colors of my petals every time I do them. Sometimes I'll do a pattern where I'll go back and forth between two colors, or sometimes I'll try to do sort of an ombre effect where you go from lighter to darker or darker to lighter. I'm going to put the dark part in the center of these flowers and pull them out so it looks a little different. This part you'll probably want to be pretty careful because if you get too much water towards the center, it could bleed into the previous petals. I want the color to go outside. This marker is just showing up very faintly, but it's still changing the color of my paper, which is what I want to have happen. Sometimes I fill a whole paper with flowers like this, and I'll just keep making rows and rows of petals until I get to the very outside. But as you go out, you notice they'll get bigger and wider. I think I want one more row that's just a little bit darker, so I'm going to use my last color one more time. I'm just going to color more of the petal in with this color. So I'm going to color it mostly all in, but just leave a little bit of white so that I can use the watercolor in that little tiny area. Alright, I am happy with how that flower looks. I'm just going to add some leaves to it. I found this really fun way of doing leaves where I start and I kind of make like a backwards C almost. And I just keep moving them in a little closer, and then I'll get to a place where I want it to be the point of the leaf. And I just kind of go backwards. And then I always draw a curved line down the center, and then from the curved line, I go out to each of the points on my leaf. When I was practicing, I found out that this marker holds a lot of ink, so it will have a lot of color when I add the water to it. It's almost like using real watercolor paints. I had an idea before I started. I thought it would be fun to make a bunch of flowers and then once they were all dry, cut them out and put them together to make a bouquet picture. So I'm going to do one more flower while this one's drying. I'm going to do this one a little different. I'm still going to start with the center. I'm just going to make the center a big circle this time. I'm going to put like half of it in so that I can paint the other half of the circle. And I'll have a light side and a dark side. So for a picture like this, you can choose to challenge yourself with something you've never drawn before or something you would like to learn how to draw, or you can draw something that you're really familiar with drawing or draw a lot. I draw flowers a lot, so I thought it would be fun to do this so that I could see different types of flowers. So I'm coloring half of each petal with a different color. I'm sticking to the same half as I go around, so I'm choosing the left side of my petal each time. So it looks like the light is hitting the flower on the same place. Sometimes it's easier to see if you move it around. And not all of your flowers have to have leaves. I don't think I'm going to add a leaf to this one. I really like how this one is turning out. Half of the leaf, or half of the petal is a lot darker. And that's exactly what I was trying to do. Alright, I'm going to do one more. This is one that's always been a little bit tricky for me, but I'm going to go for it today. So I'm going to try to do a rose. I'm going to start with the center. It kind of looks like almost a backwards question mark. And then find a starting place and kind of start making heart shapes. Right, I think I'm happy with that. I just don't know where I want to add the dark parts. Maybe just closer to some of the lines, and then I can lead it into the open spaces. Alright, I'm done with this. You can notice right here it got a little bit dark. Some of my purple marker got into the water, so that part has a lot of water on it, and you can see the purple that was in the water. I'm okay with it. I still had fun doing it, and I might color over top of it whenever it's dry. I don't want to do too much now because it'll ruin it. So I'm going to add a leaf to this one. Alright, and I'm finished with my flowers. I'm going to leave them here to dry. Once they're dry, I'm going to cut them out and I'm going to probably tape them all together, make a nice little picture with them, and give it to somebody in my family. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had a lot of fun. And if you take a picture of what you made, you can post it to Facebook or Instagram and tag the Fredricksen Library.